We have already discussed what a centroid is. Remember, a centroid is the point of concurrency where the three medians of a triangle intersect. And we have discussed that the medians of a triangle are concurrent at this point, and it's 2/3 the distance from each vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So let's talk a little bit about what that means to us. So here we have a diagram where we have our three medians drawn with our midpoints labeled, and our centroid is labeled point G. Now the same will be true for each one of these three medians, so we're only going to look at one. Let's look first at the one that goes from vertex C. Okay, so we have, let's give it some more letters. We've got CAB, let's do D for this midpoint, E for this one, and F for this one. That way we can give it some names. Okay. So let's look at the segment that goes from C to E. So what this is saying is that the segment from C to G will be 2/3 of the entire distance from C to point E. So here we have what this would look like algebraically. CG is equal to 2/3 of CE. So let's do an example. Let's say that CG was equal to 6. No, sorry, CE was equal to 6. And we want to find CG. Okay, so we want to know this segment that is here when we know the segment that goes the entire length. So we can say that CG equals 2/3 of 6. Now I know that 6 is divisible by 3. It goes in twice. So we have CG is equal to 4. Now if you notice, the second example says find AG if GF is equal to 12. So this segment over here is 12. Well, this one's slightly different because we don't have the entire thing, but we do know that if AG is 2/3 of AF, that must mean that GF is 1/3 of AF. Well, that would mean to me that AG would be 2 times as big as GF. So AG would equal 2 times 12, or 24. Ready for a challenge? Let's look at example 3. Find BG, so the length of BG, if BG is equal to 3x plus 2 and BD is equal to 5x. So why don't you take a minute, pause the video, and see if you can figure this out on your own. Welcome back. I hope you were able to solve this on your own, but let's take a look at it. So just like before, what do we know? We know that BG is equal to 2/3 of BD. So let's substitute in what we know. We know that 3x plus 2 is going to be 2/3 of 5x. So let's take this as if we were solving a regular equation. Now, of course, there are multiple ways of approaching this, but I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 2/3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/2. And when I do that, I get 9/2 x, don't be afraid of those fractions, plus 3 is equal to 5x. So now let's continue as if this was any other equation. So I get that 3 is equal to 1/2 x, or x is equal to 6. Well, the problem is we weren't just asked to solve for x. So remember, make sure that you're reading carefully, that you're solving for everything that you're asked to find. We were asked to find BG. So now we have to make sure that we substitute back in our 6 for x. So let's switch this here. So 3 times 6 plus 2. So I get 18 plus 2, that's 20. So let's double check that BG is correct. So if that's 20, okay, so if this is 20, and we know the whole thing is 5 times 6, which is 30, we should expect that the segment from G to D would be 1/3 of the entire thing, which it is, which we can find by subtraction. Let's look at example number 4. Example number 4 says to find the coordinates of the centroid of triangle ABC, and the vertices of triangle ABC are given to us as coordinates. So let's first take a look at what this looks like if we plot the points and connect them. So we have 5, 5 is A, 3, -4 is B, and C is -5, -10. Okay, so C, so let's connect these as best we can. That one's not very good. Let's try that one again. Okay. That's better. And C. Okay, so now we have to find the centroid of these. Now the nice thing is that just like we did the midpoint formula, we actually can do the same thing. We take the average, but this time we're taking the average of all 3 coordinates. So x1 plus x2 plus x sub 3, and y1 plus y sub 2 plus y sub 3, and divide them by 3. Okay, so let's take these. So we have the point 5 plus 3 plus -5 divided by 3, and 5 minus 4 plus -4. Okay, so when we simplify, I get 3/3, which is 1, and we have -9/3, which is just -3. So our coordinate of our centroid would be at 1, -3. So let's find that point. 1, -3. So right there, if we drew the lines, the medians, they would all go through that blue point. Now, of course, you don't have to graph them every time. We just want to look at the triangle, but you can do this if you're given 3 coordinates to find the value of the centroid. Now that you've watched this video, I would like you to complete the following problems, page 275 through 278 in your textbook. Numbers 3, 10 through 13, 19 through 23, 27, 37 through 39, and find the coordinates of the centroid for the 2 problems written below. Don't panic, they're not as difficult as they look.